Marc Menchaca, welcome to An Actor Despairs. How you doing, man?
Thanks. I'm good.
Dude, thanks so much for being here. I'm such a massive fan of yours. It's kind of an oxymoron when I say this, but there's a magnetic stillness to all your performances, and it's so entrancing to watch you perform, and it just, everything I've seen you in, This Is Where We Live, Homeland, Generation Kill, Ozark, man, I've been so entranced by you, and I followed your career religiously, and I'm so excited, I'm watching The Outsider every Sunday, and it's been amazing to watch you soar, man. It's nice to watch justice prevail, and you're so talented, and I'm so excited to talk to you. It means so much for being here.
Thanks. That's incredibly generous. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, it means a lot to me.
You almost made me cry. It's like a little bit too much.
Oh, man. Well, dude, you deserve it, man. I'm so
thanks.
moved by everything you do, and let's start from the beginning. You grew up in Texas, right?
Yep. From San Angelo, Texas, out West Texas, like by Midland, Odessa.
Okay.
I always have to say it's by Midland, Odessa, Abilene, Lubbock.
Got it.
And people go, okay, I kind of know where it is.
We were just talking about kind of, not in a derogatory sense, the other America. Was that kind of part of that, what you feel like, or is it a city more so?
I mean, it's a city, but it has such a small town feel to it. I mean, when I say city, it's not like a big city, but
yeah.
It's bigger now because there's been an oil boom in the past, 6 to 8 years, something like that. And so people have moved in and like companies have come in. But no, it's pretty, we were pretty country growing up.
So you grew up on like maybe land or?
No, I grew up in town, but I grew up working on farms and ranches.
Okay.
And
so like Yellowstone style, like that show. Yeah, that's amazing. So what did your parents do?
My dad has a flooring store.
Wow.
He was a teacher and a coach for a long time, and then took over my mom's dad's flooring store. My mom was a teacher for her whole career, and now she just
retired.
She's retired, but she volunteers like every single day. And
she's substituting.
Well, no, she does. She works.
Okay.
She works with organizations, and she's probably busier than when she was a teacher now. So.
And when you look back on growing up there, was that an enjoyable time in your life, or did you feel like a constant need to get to a bigger city?
I never wanted to leave.
You didn't? Wow.
No.
So you loved it?
I loved it. I mean, I played football and soccer growing up, and football, like Friday Night Lights was based on that part of Texas.
Wow.
Like on our rival team. So, football is one of the greatest memories of my life.
And you played?
Yeah.
What was your position?
I played a split tight end like my first 2 years.
Wow.
And then I was a painter.
Wow.
Which we were just like these smaller outside linebackers that just rushed every play.
No way.
Yeah.
Did any of your friends make it to the NFL?
No, I don't. I mean, we had some guys go play
D1 or whatever.
D1 schools. I really didn't have any desire to, after high school. I was like, I literally was one of those guys. I was like, I'm gonna go to. I went to Texas A&M. I'm gonna go to Texas A&M, then I'm gonna move back to San Angelo. And
what did you study there?
I started out in business
Wow.
until I started getting terrible grades. Like, I hated it.
Yeah, you were miserable.
And then I came to New York after I was like, I think I want to be an actor.
Talk to me about that. What kind of enticed you? What was there? A film, a movie, a play, a moment?
There were kind of two things. One was
a girl.
Dead Poets Society.
Oh, the best.
And I remember thinking after watching that, I was like, I want to do whatever that film is making me feel.
Yeah.
And then in high school, we had this like project graduation, which was basically everybody was locked into a mall so people didn't go out and drink and whatnot.
Yeah.
And we had there was a hypnotist that came, and it was, he asked for volunteers. I went up on stage, and I think I did a play when I was like in elementary school. I was not Nutsy the Squirrel.
Right.
Which, I'm not going to go back to those days and be like, I've been acting since I was a kid. But yeah, no, there was this hypnotist, and I went up on stage, and he was telling me to do all this stuff, and I was like, I'm not hypnotized, but I was like, I can do it.
Yeah.
And then I started doing stuff that probably was not very Christian.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can do it because it's under the guise that I'm
hypnotized.
And then people started laughing, and I remember the feeling that I got when I was on stage, and I was like, this is great.
You're a performer.
And then they kind of went together, and I came up to New York the summer after my sophomore year of college.
What made you strategize New York versus LA? Because I feel like Texas is a little closer to California. Did you have an idea of theater film, like on both coasts, or?
Well, actually, I went to. It's funny you ask, because I went to LA after my freshman year, and that summer I went with a couple of friends of mine, and we were like, we're gonna move to LA and be movie stars and da 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 da.
Yeah.
And then I told him, and I was like, I'm gonna drop out of school and I'll get back into school in California at some point. And
your parents being in academia, did they panic or were they supportive or?
I wouldn't. They might have panicked for a minute.
Yeah.
But there was my dad grew up in a very small town outside of my hometown. Like he was in a graduating class of 6.
Wow.
And they're kind of like pseudo family. This other family that my dad grew up with. He's a television director named Felix Alcala, and had a very successful career. And when I told him, I was like, I think I'm going to move to California, they were like, hold on a second. Let's put you in touch with Felix.
Yeah.
And I got in touch with Felix, and he basically gave me the talk, like, you shouldn't do any of this. You know, the
LA scene? Or?
Well, no, just like being an actor. He gave me that talk of like, don't do it.
Yeah.
I've had
Go
friends,
be a doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I can tell you how to do all these different things, but I cannot tell you how to be an actor.
Yeah.
And he said, but if you want, then you should go to New York. And he said, I'm going to send you some places. He faxed me.
Wow.
Came through the fax machine back in 96.
Shout out Felix.
And he sent me a list of schools, and I kind of went through them, and I ended up coming up for a Circle in the Square that
Kevin
summer.
Bacon.
And then that summer I was like, New York.
Yeah.
Over LA. And oddly, my 2 friends that I'd gone to LA with came up at the end of the summer. And when I was done, and Mandy, who was one of my best girlfriends and growing up, her cousin is Ethan Hawke, and we ended up going to dinner with Ethan and his mother. His mother was in town.
Wow.
We went to El Teddy's down in Tribeca, and this is my first. I was like,
yeah, I'd be shaking.
This is the guy that was in Dead Poets Society.
Yeah,
it was, and then we went to a bar afterwards, and I remember he was drawing on. There was like paper on the table, and there were crayons, and he was like drawing stuff, and I was like, I don't think I'm cut out for this. I can't draw. He's like an
artist through and through.
He's an artist through and too. And then oddly enough, I ran into him at Sundance briefly.
Oh, recently?
Did
you remember the moment?
It was very quick, but I was like, Mandy Enzer's a good friend of mine. We went to dinner like 25 years ago. This happened. First time I've seen him since then.
Wow.
But it was fun. It was fun to see him.
That's amazing, man. And then, so when you were here, was it a conservatory you were doing?
I did. I just did the summer program.
Oh, it was just a summer program.
At Circle in the Square. Went back, finished college, moved to Austin.
Was Linklater doing films there at that time, or was that kind of before Linklater and Rodriguez had their?
No, they were doing films, and oddly, I've never auditioned for a single film that Linklater or Rodriguez has done. I just met Robert Rodriguez's cousin. She works for Jason Bateman's company for Aggregate.
Okay.
And she's friends with a buddy of mine. And we met at at his birthday party, and she was like, "You've never auditioned for either of them?" I was like, "Nope, never gone into a room for one of their projects." So I did a couple of jobs in Texas.
Because there's a little bit of like a film, TV commercial business there outside of like the big 2 guys, right?
Yeah. There used to be a lot more back then, like back
before Atlanta was a thing.
99, 2000, yeah. And then I had one of the best acting teachers I've ever had was in Austin.
Wow.
And he was actually in This Is Where We Live.
Oh,
he played the father.
Oh, he was incredible.
And
I was going to ask if were those locals because we were just talking about locals in a movie.
Yeah, there was. I remember one night after class. At the time I was kind of my side gig was I was a caregiver for this guy with cerebral palsy, and
oh wow,
it was that was a very hard thing for me to leave, and it was kind of keeping me in Austin. I mean, I'm grateful for every single second. I'm still really good friends with the family, and we still do stuff together. But it was difficult for me to leave that.
Yeah, I can imagine.
After it was like 3 years, like we were together almost every day.
And when we touch on the film, we'll have to bring it back to this.
Yeah. And and Ron pulled me aside after class one day, and he was like, "Get out of town.
Go to New York.
Like, go to New York, study at Esper Studio." And
did you?
Uh-huh.
Nice.
Yeah.
I had Terry Knickerbocker on the show recently.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I know Terry.
Yeah, Terry's great. Yeah. And how was that experience? Did you do the 2-year or the summer or what? Would you do?
I did the 2-year.
Nice.
And
did you respond to Meisner?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I talk about it quite a bit, I think, but with people, it's fun to kind of go back. It was such a fun part of this whole thing. I didn't when I came up, I didn't audition for anything. Yeah. I was just there. I was like a student. I wanted to study. And
doing scenes,
scenes, and movement class, and
repetition.
Voice and, I mean, it like that for me. It changed my life.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to know myself in a completely different and scary way than I knew myself.
Actors are the most self-aware people on earth. It's crippling almost.
Yeah. So yeah, and I studied with Suzanne, and I love her. Can't talk about her too much because I'll cry. I still call her on jobs and whatnot.
It's amazing.
But she changed my life.
Wow. And then graduating that, because I know Esper, I went to Strasbourg.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these schools they don't do showcases. So I'm sure you're kind of similar to me that when that ended, you're like, well, how do I get auditions now?
Yeah.
So what did you do? Did you do the Actors Connection one-on-one thing?
I did one-on-one, and you know what? I ran into Marc. I sat next to him at a film in Sundance.
No way.
Last week, I hadn't seen him in a long time, and oddly, it was kind of funny because I decided at one point I was like, okay, I'm gonna go into debt.
Yeah.
I'm gonna spend as much money as I need to meet as many casting directors.
Totally.
I was like, screw the agents. Nobody's gonna pick me up.
Yeah, until I have credits. Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna meet every casting director I can. I'm gonna do it for a year, and then maybe I'll if it's not working, then
I'll write something.
I'll do something. I almost went into the military.
Wow.
And but at Sundance, I ran into Marc, who was
the owner and
thanks
creator.
To one-on-one, I did get to meet a lot of these casting directors, but I also ran into Emily Gerson-Sains, who's a manager, and she's Phil Ettinger, who's the lead of the film, and is freaking amazing.
Wow.
You should talk to Phil sometime.
And if you don't mind expanding on that, because I know a lot of actors listening are in that one-on-one, pay-for-play trenches, so to speak. And, there's so many beautiful things. Like I so many people I've met, Kathleen Turner, and so many connections I've made through casting have all been at one-on-one. But it can be a bit of a bummer sometimes. And how are you staying inspired in this? Like, what was keeping you through? Even my former guest, Shea Wiggum, he did one-on-one for years, and that's what got him going.
Yeah.
So what was keeping you, like... because so many people, I feel like now, and maybe it's the social media thing, everyone's like, I got to get an agent or a manager. And they don't think about the casting element from their perspective.
Yeah, well,
I think it's so amazing that you did that because so many actors I meet, they're like, I'm just trying to meet with agents or managers. I'm like, I don't think that's the right thing.
Yeah, I kind of figured out, because I did go and meet with some agents and managers, and you get, be like, maybe this is the one. Like, get your hopes up.
Totally.
And then I'd get there and talk, and it was very, it was very surface level.
Yeah.
And I was like, they're not gonna take me.
Yeah.
I haven't done anything.
Yeah. I got no leverage, no momentum. Yeah.
And so, and so that's when I started. I was like, I'm just going to do casting directors, and there's no way to thank all of these casting directors in this city enough.
Yeah.
That have, continued to like bring you in.
Yeah. And they become fans
even
of you.
When, even when I'm like, who was it recently? I was like, I've been auditioning for them for 10 years, and I finally got my first job through their office.
What project was it?
I cannot remember. I just remember this happening last year. I was like, I can't remember which one it was.
Yeah.
You know what? I think it was Henry Russell and Allison Estrin.
Oh, Allison Estrin. Yeah, totally.
Who is totally rad.
Yeah.
Henry as well. I mean, I could name.
Yeah,
Cromer,
we could do.
Alex
It's a
Fogel.
different podcast.
I love all of these people.
Yeah. Shout out all casting.
Allison did. She cast the evening hour. But yeah, no, I've been auditioning for them for forever, and then.
Who gave you your first credit? Or what was your first credit?
With them, or just in general?
In general, yeah.
Alex Fogel and Christine Cromer. I met
Generation Kill?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't my. I think I did like an under 5 on Guiding Light or something.
Yeah.
And but yeah, Generation Kill. I met Christine Cromer at 101.
Yeah.
And I ended up going back to her class like two or three times because I just didn't feel like I'd shown her my best work, and then I ended up. So the whole thing with Emily Gerson Sains, I had a friend that worked in her office, and she gave me the login to their breakdowns, which I just told her this last week.
No way.
I was like, I kind of have to thank you for my first job.
Yeah.
So I would, I'd get done waiting tables, and then I'd go and just like start going through the breakdowns, and
seeing what you're right for,
throwing packets together, and then run around town.
Self-submitting yourself.
Yeah.
Wow, I love it.
And Christine called me in, and and then now like Alexa and Christine are two of my best friends here in the city.
What is that like, going from like, being in those classes to working with the greatest David Simon and Ed Burns, of all time, and that was a big budget show, You guys shot in Africa, right?
We were like down there for 6-7 months, and I mean, it was incredible because most of those guys on that show were
Skarsgård, James Ransom.
Yeah. I mean, that was Alex's first
American thing,
American
right?
lead.
Yeah. Before True Blood.
Yeah, and it was great because all of us were kind of like Michael Kelly was.
Yeah, I love Michael Kelly.
He had been in the business for a while, and Lee Tergesen had been in the business a while.
Yeah, I had Tom Fontana on the show.
You did?
Yeah.
So they were kind of our like
mentors.
Yeah, we called Michael like he was Uncle Mikey, and he was really great to all of us. And that it was we had a boot camp. I was scared I was going to get fired. I was like, I don't think I have this job yet. We went and did a boot camp, and then we had this full-on mission this one night, and Stark Sands wasn't down yet because he was still doing a play that he was up.
Yeah,
was up for a Tony, and so I was the highest one in command on this mission, and I was like, we went out and like the stunt guys were, they were dressed up as enemy, and they were all hidden up in the hills and whatnot, and we had to dig in and do this camp, and then I would have to send people out.
Like a real mission control.
Yeah, and we had they were all blanks,
but
like I remember people were going up, and I'd send a crew out, and then I'm just hearing like and then they start like some more went out, and then people started yelling for help.
Wow.
And I did the exact thing that I was not supposed to do, and I was like, screw this. I just got my weapon and I started running, ran up the hill, and I was like, I'm gonna get fired if I don't save the situation. And then turns out that
they loved you.
Well, nobody was getting fired at that point.
Yeah.
But anyway, and those guys were all like some of my best buddies in the business
still
today. Yeah.
Wow. It's such an incredible show. David Simon's, him and Tom Fontana, they created television. It wouldn't be what it is without them. Netflix, none of it would exist. And, it's such an interesting time because it was before Netflix. And then what did it feel like to go from being in these classes to being on this, multi-million-dollar project with some of the biggest people in the world? Were you nervous? Did you kind of feel like that was your film school, so to speak?
I was nervous at first. But I think going through the boot camp and seeing David wasn't down there until the end because he was finishing up The Wire. So it was Ed Burns and then some of the other producers. We had two great directors, Susanna White and Simon Kellen Jones. And they did that boot camp did a really good job of us
feeling confident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us were pretty new.
Yeah.
Alex had worked, quite a bit, and so had James and Lee and Michael. But it kind of got everybody grounded. And,
and it's cool to have a company of actors like that are taking you under, and you're like, oh, that's how it's done.
Yeah. So it was so much fun, but there were. I'm trying to think of what other. Homeland, I was very...
Yeah, you were on season 1. I mean, that was that show, obviously you had Ozark later, but that show, when that came out, that was such a monumental hit, you know, especially that first season. What was it like working with Claire and Damien?
Damien was great. I never really worked with Claire.
Yeah.
I know her through friends, not well, but we've met. Sweet girl. I wish I would have gotten to work with her, but I didn't.
Soon, very soon.
But I remember I was fairly. That was one of those jobs that I got pretty dadgum nervous on because number one, when I got that job, I had $60.
Wow.
To my name. I went into my manager's office to be like, do y'all have any friends that have bars? Because I couldn't get a job doing anything. Nobody would hire me. Bars wouldn't hire me. And literally when I was in there, the appointment came in and he was like, just go book this. I was like, oh, it's easy for you to
say this.
But it was that episode I did first season was it was like a 3-page monologue almost. And I hadn't worked on a show with people like Claire and Damien and Mandy and I'm trying to think. Oh, my buddy.
That Walker or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
I know his name.
I love. He's so
a great
good.
actor. He's on the Blacklist. Oh God.
Oh, Mike. Are you talking about Mike?
Yeah, Mike. Yeah.
He's become a really good friend of mine.
Yeah.
You should get him on.
Yeah.
Sometime.
You have to connect it. Yeah.
But I will say that job did. I remember when I was done with that scene, I couldn't. It was one of those that I felt like I was kind of you go through like a Meisner school or Strasberg or whatever, and you take those tools, and then at some point you forget. I don't want to say you forget that you kind of forget that they're there and they're just working on their own. And it was one of the first times that I was like, okay, I can trust that what I did.
Yeah.
Is I know how to do it. I don't have to go back and
figure it out every time. Yeah.
And I just loved that. I loved that character so much. It
was he handicapped on the page, or was that something you added?
Yeah, he had been. Originally they were gonna have green screen
no legs, Lieutenant Dan. Yeah.
And then they decided to go that other direction. So it was he was near where a bomb had gone off, and it was just shrapnel all in the legs, and but there was something about that character. I remember, I think it was 3 least 3 pages of almost a monologue. There were a couple of things said here and there. Yeah. But I think combined with like the fact that I loved the material so much and that I had $60 to my name.
Yeah.
I literally think I had that entire thing down in like 45 minutes.
Wow.
I was like, I just want to go do this right now.
Then the monologue was the audition.
Yeah.
Wow. And that's Judy Henderson, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was great. Somebody was talking about her the other day. I was like, man, I hadn't seen her in a long time.
That's amazing, man. And so then I'm curious, when you have these huge shows and these huge credits, you obviously kept working, but then you wrote and co-directed a film called This Is Where We Live, and you spoke about it earlier that you were a caregiver. And that film is so touching. I love that film so much. And the guy that played August is incredible. And you said the guy that played the father was your teacher. Talk to me about the idea for that. Like, a lot of actors, when they kind of get the momentum that you were having, kind of could get cocky and be like, well, I'm just going to keep working. Talk to me about the desire to tell that narrative.
Well, I mean, that kind of came about because I was like, I was going through another
dry spell
spurt where I was like, I think I started writing when I was in LA and I was very like depressed. Everybody was working and I wasn't.
Yeah.
Which is always the case in LA. It's like,
yeah, I know.
why aren't all you guys
see it Soho
on
house.
a job and I'm not? And I started writing then, and it was actually, and we ended up shooting it after that first season of Homeland. But I started writing because, number one, I did want to tell that relationship means so much to me in my life.
Was a lot of that movie actual events that happened with the person you were taking care of, or
no?
Okay,
it was more
inspired by.
It was the relationship was kind of the impetus for it, and the families are very, very different.
Yeah.
But it was mainly just that relationship.
And you got Frankie Shaw before. Yeah, I love Frankie. Oh my God, she's incredible.
We didn't know Frankie was like gonna shoot to the moon.
Yeah.
She was great though. My buddy Ben Fuqua, who produced it, he's good at like finding talent.
Yeah.
And he brought her up and I was like, I think we were looking at like, what's her name? Britt
Marling.
Yeah, Britt Marling. Yeah. But she was already kind of like a little bit.
Another Earth.
She was just out of our reach. Another Earth was amazing, amazing film. And little did we know Frankie was about to do that same thing. But I flew out to LA and met with her. And she just kind of like, I was like, she fits this family. Like, it all works.
Where'd you find the mom? The mom was so great.
CK was she was an acting teacher of mine before Ron.
Wow. In
Austin. And I remember when I was writing it, I was like, I had her in mind the whole time.
Yeah.
And, so I was in Austin at one point, and
you shot that in Texas?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Out in the Hill Country, a little bit in my hometown. But I met with her and I was like, I'm just letting you know, you're going to be in my film.
Yeah.
You don't have a say. Like, I've written this for you. And she was wonderful.
Wow. Yeah. And the guy who played August, he was not actually disabled, right?
No. It's Tobias Siegel.
Such an amazing performance. I mean, that's like Leo Gilbert Grape levels. I mean, I was like, how did you get this disabled actor to give so much emotion? And then I went on IMDb and I was like, whoa.
Yeah, Tobias is here in New York. I met him on a film actually right before that. It was like a small little indie. We shot out in the desert in California, and it was a two-hander. And this was like 2 months before we were going to start shooting.
Yeah, and
I'd met. We had this girl Christine Bruno, who has cerebral palsy. She's an actor here in New York. We connected with her, and she was kind of our like disability consultant on the film. And so we originally met with we were going to use an actor that had cerebral palsy, but the only problem was the character that I had written wasn't like strong, like
right.
Wasn't built.
Yeah.
And a lot of most every actor we met with, like they had like
guns.
Muscles.
Yeah.
I was like, it just wouldn't make sense. And
yeah.
So, and Christine was like, she was good with it.
Yeah.
And I was working on this film with Tobias, and I was like, dude, I want you to read this script.
Yeah.
You're not really going to say anything.
Yeah.
But you're going to have a lot to say.
He says, yeah.
And I had him meet with my buddy Thomas, kind of spent a week with him down in Austin before we started shooting. And I ended up kind of just like, we were busy getting, prepping for the film.
Yeah.
And I kind of just let them do their own thing. I let him he got to spend time with Thomas and his caregiver at the time, and kind of like going through everything, every part of the day.
Yeah.
And I remember we got out to the house that we were shooting at, and I was dealing with a bunch of other stuff, and I finally was like, do you want to just go like sit in the living room and just kind of
play scene?
Yeah. Just see what happens. And I'll do it. It'll get me. I started crying immediately when I saw what he was doing. If you could see my buddy Thomas, like what Tobias did was so spot on.
Yeah. It shows.
And he was, God, I love that guy.
Yeah, you and him still at the show. It was incredible. How was it, switching chairs and moving into the director chair? Was that a good experience for you? Is that something you maybe do more of in your life?
Yeah. No, the first day that I got, I tried to back out of playing in the film.
Oh, you did?
Last minute.
No way, dude. No one else could have played that.
And
no way.
My buddy Ben was like, "Nope, we don't have any money to pay anybody, so you got to do it." But
because it was too personal, or you just didn't.
I started getting. I'd never directed before. I was like,
I got to be good at this.
I mean, thank God for my buddy Josh Barrett, who I would say I co-directed with Josh.
Yeah.
Josh was like, the film would not have been made without him.
Yeah.
But and we kind of ended up taking, like, he took Frankie and I think he took Frankie and Tobias, and I took Ron and CK, and so we kind of just split up the actors.
Got it.
And but the first time that I actually got to get behind and watch monitor in a scene that I wasn't in was it was incredible. It was I was like, well, no, I'm glad I did it. But I was like, the next one I would kind of just like, I kind of just want to direct it.
Yeah.
And not be going back and forth.
Yeah.
I'm not as talented as Jason Bateman.
No, you are, man. You really are.
Do that on the turn of a dime.
And then talk to me, when that film came out, I know you won Best Actor at Breckenridge, and it did other really well at festivals. Did that kind of garner a new audience in the industry for you, people that hadn't seen you in that light before? Like, do you feel like it opened the Ozark door for something like that to happen? Or,
well, I mean, maybe. I always am very touched when somebody there haven't been a ton, but like when anybody comes up and says, "Were you in this film? This is where we live?"
Yeah,
and I'm like, how did you see that?
Yeah.
Film? I'm always surprised.
Yeah, I love that film. It's incredible. I'm an actor, and I've been trying to write as well, and I'm so inspired by the tone of that film. I send it to so many people as a reference.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, it's an incredible film.
No, what was the question?
Oh, did it kind of change the tonal perception of you? Because that's such a poignant character and sentimental, and did that open new doors for, Ozark was kind of your next big commercial thing.
Yeah.
And critically as well, but...
Yeah, I mean, maybe it colored Alexa's, like, how she saw me a little bit. Because Alexa came on as an executive producer.
Wow, I didn't know that. Wait, Alexa Fogel casted Ozark?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow. For some reason, I thought it was Carmen Cuba. Maybe I'm thinking Stranger Things.
Yeah. I remember when Alexa, we sent her a cut, and she goes, "You know what? It doesn't suck." and I've come to find out that that's actually a compliment.
Yeah.
When somebody says it doesn't suck, it might be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, she came on and really helped us kind of navigate festival world. And,
And was that a good experience doing the festival world?
Yeah, it was super fun. It's fun as a filmmaker because a lot of the South by and I guess every festival is kind of geared towards the filmmakers.
Yeah.
And if you go as an actor, you don't go to a lot of the things that the filmmakers go to.
Of course, yeah.
But yeah, it was met a lot of great people, and that Short Term 12 was what we kind of were on the circuit with that. When I was like, you guys made such a good movie, and you're gonna take it all.
What the fuck?
No, they were great. I loved that film.
That's a great film. I love Lakeith, man.
Yeah. Lakeith.
Yeah.
John Gallagher.
Yeah, John Gallagher. Rami's first, breeze.
Yeah, I totally forgot that he was in that.
Yeah.
Somebody said that the other day. I was like,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He was doing weird things at first. He was Need for Speed, that, and then Mr. Robot happened. And that's amazing. So then talk to me about Ozark. What was that, when you got that script and that audition? Did you have an idea of Russ Langmore would become this thing that would be so monumental, and Julia Garner, and Charlie? I mean, you guys had such amazing chemistry.
It's a recurring theme in an actor's life, I think. When I got that audition, I was 9 months out of a job. Wow. I could not, and this is another time where I tried to go to bars and restaurants. Nobody would hire me because I hadn't done that in so long.
Yeah, it's been 5 years off here.
And I was so frustrated, and I was so broke. And Alex Skarsgård.
Yeah.
We just he was in town, or I don't even know if he was in town, but he was like, "Hey, I've got a trip for if you want to go." And I was like, "Yeah, I need to get out of town.
Yeah, please.
I don't care where we go.
Change my scenery.
Just get me out of town.
Yeah.
Because I don't have the money to do it."
Yeah.
And he was doing press for Tarzan.
Wow.
And we were maybe going to go to China. We were going to Tokyo, maybe China after that. They didn't really know.
You were just going with the press with him? Okay, cool. Yeah.
Companion ticket.
Totally done that.
His girlfriend couldn't go. And over the years, I've kind of I've been his default date to
his
a lot
bro-friend.
of things. In fact, I think one time somebody Googled Alex Skarsgård's partner, and it was there's a picture of us that comes up. And I was like, so I had to get it was this thing, and it was rushed because it was happening soon.
Yeah. I
had to get my passport to a courier service. I was on my way to this Ozark audition.
Yeah.
And I'd been given the wrong address. I know where Alexa's office is. But it said a different office. And I was like, oh, maybe she
moved. Yeah.
And I get to the wrong address, and that's where the courier service was going to pick my passport up. And it was like they were having to rush it out to JFK to fly it to LA to get this the visa or whatever.
Yeah.
And I get there, and I'm like, Alexa's not here. So now I'm running late to the audition. I'm still
panicking.
I'm kind of wanting to look over the sides, but I'm also like, I just want to get this thing to the courier.
Yeah.
And then
your mind wasn't in the whole result.
I had a lot of stuff to do in the next couple of days before I was going to Tokyo. I was running around. And so I get down to Alexa's office, and I went in and I gave my passport to the girl at the desk, and I was like, okay. And I was having to deal with people in LA who didn't know. They were the ones that were trying to tell the courier service where to go, and I was like, just tell them. I was like, it was panicking.
A million hands you were juggling, yeah.
And I went in the room and I said, Alexa, I've got to get my passport to somebody. I don't have much time. Let's just do this.
Yeah.
And I remember I thought the pilot was great. I loved the writing, but I was like,
and Bateman was attached.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I read through it, and it's like Southern character. And Alexi goes, "I feel like you're Russian." And I go, "Huh? You feel like I'm Russian?" And she goes, "No, I feel like you're rushing."
Yeah.
And I was like, "I know. I've got this. I've got to get my I'm worried about getting my
get on a
passport
plane. I'm going
to
to
the
Tarzan.
airport."
Yeah.
And she was like, "Just Mark, just take a breath. Let's do it again."
Yeah.
Did it again. She was like, "Great. Love it." I was like, "Okay, good to see you." Hug. I was like, I'm going out of town with Alex.
Yeah.
And she knows Alex very well. And I really I was just like, I didn't care.
Yeah.
I was like, let's get this thing done because I've got a lot of things to do.
Yeah.
And then in the middle of the trip, we went to Tokyo, and then we went to Sydney.
Wow.
And we landed at Sydney like 6 a.m, and we were at the hotel having breakfast. And Alexa texted me. She was like, "Where are you?" I was like, "We just landed in Sydney, just having breakfast." She was like, "I want to FaceTime you guys." And then she FaceTime. We're like talking to her, and she goes, "Oh, Mark, I think you're going to be able to pay your rent for a while."
No way.
And I was like, "What?" And I literally had I ended up getting in trouble for this too. I was having somebody claim unemployment for me while I was gone.
No way, to keep it going.
Came back to bite me in the ass. I had to pay
you got
all
audited.
And so I had that's what I had. I had my unemployment check in the bank.
$450 coming in.
Yeah.
I've done the same thing, dude.
And I was like, "Huh?" And she was like, "You're getting the offer for Ozark. Don't tell your agent I'm telling you." And I was like, "What?" And then I was like,
you told Alex, obviously, right?
Yeah. He was on the phone.
Yeah.
And then so I kind of credit. I should give credit to Alex for getting my mind not giving a shit about this
Shout out
audition.
Alexander Skarsgård.
And I just needed to get out of town.
Yeah.
And sometimes those are the best ones.
Yeah.
Because just have a fucking attitude.
I know.
Literally, that's what I try to. I try to do that.
The ones you care the least and your mind's not there is always the one you book,
Mm-hmm.
And then that obviously, that changed your life. I feel like that's how the world now knows about you and what you did with Russ Langmore. It's really two characters. There's the one he shows the kids and who he really is,
Yeah.
And I love how you played that. What was it like tapping into that writing and that character? Because the thing I talk about on this podcast that's a reoccurring theme and why I wanted you on the show so badly is no other actor in the world could have played that character the way you did. No one. And that's the difference between, good acting and great acting. Is the great actors, no one else could play that. The way Heath Ledger, Joaquin played the Joker, no one could have done what Mark did on that. And
thanks, man.
You brought, obviously Bateman and Laura Linney are amazing, but I watched that show because of you, what you and Jason Butler Harner, that journey you went on. It was so, obviously we live in a time now where gay characters are a lot more prevalent, but at the time that wasn't so true, and I know that's only about 3 years ago, but what you did, it was such a heartbreaking journey. I cried, man,
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
I cry for Russ too myself.
Yeah.
Still. That was one of those, I felt like I just got lucky.
Yeah. But hard work,
You don't know what, going into a new show. I had the pilot and the
and
the
Netflix doesn't really
episode.
know which one's going to be hit. I feel like they're producing so much they just don't know.
I think you got a good chance with Bateman involved. He's just one of the best captains of the ship that I've worked with ever. And he treats it like he'll do a speech or whatever, and he's like, we got to be a family here, and There's gonna be hard times, but we have to support each other, and if we do treat each other like family, we're gonna make something good.
Yeah.
But I mean, when I got that, I didn't know the whole story of Russ.
Yeah. Oh, you only got it script by script. You didn't,
I was getting script by script.
Yeah.
I mean, I was down in Atlanta like for most of the season.
Did they tell you like in the pilot that hey, this character might be gay or no?
I mean, there was a question, before I auditioned.
Yeah.
Are you okay with?
Also, shout out to the actor who plays your brother. What's his name?
Christopher James.
Yeah.
Boies.
He's incredible. Yeah.
Not Boyd. Christopher James Baker. Boyd was
Yeah.
his name. Love Chris.
Yeah.
So I think there was a question like, are you okay with sexual situations
Yeah.
with a woman or a man?
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah. But it was, I think it was maybe like third or fourth episode. We were at, some people had come to the hotel, some of the cast.
Yeah.
And we were leaving, we were going in, and I think it was Sophia, who plays Jason's daughter.
Love Sophia.
We were walking through the door, and she was like, "So, you got some Brokeback stuff coming up?" And I was like, she was like, "Have you not read the next couple episodes?" And I was like, "I haven't got them."
Yeah.
And then I saw the showrunner the next day, and I was like, "Hey, Chris, Sophia last night said I have some Brokeback stuff coming out."
Yeah.
He was like, you don't have the scripts?" And I was like, "No." He was like, "Well, that was a mistake."
Yeah.
He was like, "I'll fix that." And
Yeah.
he was like, "But come over here. We need to talk."
Yeah.
And then he told me, and I was like, "Fuck yes,
Yes. Amazing.
I love it."
Yeah.
And it was, I don't know. I think as an actor, you just want stuff that you can dig your teeth into,
Totally,
and give yourself to, and that was one. I was like, it just added so many layers to this character, who probably still didn't want to be seen as, I think he says, "I ain't a faggot."
Yeah.
But he loves.
Yeah, beautiful seeing that hotel room with you and Jason. Yeah. And when you make that fucking fishing flyer, oh my God, kills me every time, man.
Yeah, he. I mean, the day I got the call that Russ was going away, it was a very tough day.
Yeah.
There's just some, it was one of those characters that was really. It was hard to let go of.
Yeah.
Because
You loved him.
I loved him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I gave a lot of myself to him, and
It shows.
I didn't want him to go.
Yeah. But that, I mean, it was amazing that they brought you back for season 2, and then you had a scene that went viral. I don't know if it was planned this way. I don't think you can plan for something like that. But when you covered David Bowie's "The Man Who Sold the World," are you a musician?
Yeah, I play guitar and sing. I know. I mean, I was incredibly nervous about that scene.
Yeah. Because if it went wrong, it could have been really weird, but it worked so well.
Yeah. I mean, they did that scene incredibly well.
Yeah.
I thought. And I don't know if anybody who's asked me for a full cover of that song is listening to this, but I'm sorry, I've just been busy.
Yeah.
I did a recording with Gibson recently. I don't know if they're going to be able to put it out, but
of that song.
Yeah.
Oh wow, amazing.
But yeah, it was so cool
You got
how
a great
they brought.
voice.
I was a little bit hesitant at first and skeptical, but the way they did it was so great.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
and Charlie is such a great actor.
Yeah.
Like,
and anyone who's dealt with death, particularly of like a relative, let alone a parent, you identify with that, where you're always kind of talking your head to them, what would they say,
Yeah. It was really cool. Jason's always like, I wish we would have kept you out of focus in episode 10. I wish we'd never like focused in. When I'm in the car with him at the end when he's driving off.
Yeah.
And I kind of agree with you.
Yeah.
I kind of think that would have been cool because it's me.
Totally.
Anyways, I'm not going to bash anybody's choices, but
did you and Jason get really close on that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he's such a kind and generous and just funny dude.
Yeah. I feel like he knows struggle well too. He. Yeah.
He. I love it. He's like in his prime right now.
Yeah. He's totally in that.
But yeah, Jason's.
Is that how The Outsider came back your way? Was that Jason, or did that just kind of serendipitously work out?
I don't know exactly how it worked out, but I was in South Africa doing a Black Mirror.
Yeah, that's right. You were in that one episode.
Yeah, and I had auditioned for The Outsider, went a different direction. Thank God, because he's amazing, Jeremy Bobb. Thank you for taking that. I love that's another.
Yeah.
Just
amazing. I love Derek and Ben Mendelsohn and Patty. I mean, it's such a great company of actors on that show.
Yul Vasquez. But I got a text from him. It was like, "Hey, give me a call when you get a Jimmy week." So we had to like coordinate this call. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And he called me. He was like, "There's this other part, that the other part went a different direction, but there's this other part that I think you'd be great."
Yeah.
And he's like, you should go on and read it with Alexa when you get back.
Yeah.
And let's go make a fun show.
Yeah.
So yeah, it did. I don't know who the first one to throw the ball up and say, let's see how it works.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'd work with Jason any day. He's
Stephen King. I mean, what an icon. I mean,
I never got to meet Stephen King.
Yet.
I haven't yet. But I know apparently he likes the show.
Amazing.
I actually, before the show came out, I ran into Bill Camp. He lives in my neighborhood.
Love Bill Camp. One of the best.
That's
I just watched Birdman last night. I forgot he's in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the noise I make when I talk about Bill Camp, because he's there's no words.
Yeah.
No words. Such a good guy. I ran into him in the neighborhood, and we were talking, and later that night he texted me. He was like, "Dude, literally just ran into Stephen King on Madison Avenue.
No way.
Saw the first 9 eps, said it's scary."
Wow.
And I was like, that's awesome. I wonder who recognized
yeah, totally.
I wonder if Bill saw Stephen King or Stephen King saw Bill.
It'd be funny either way, with the other coming up to the other, like, I'm in your show.
Yeah. But hopefully I get to meet him one of these days.
You will, man.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And now I imagine, you probably, I don't want to say maybe you didn't have it before with Ozark's first season, but now I imagine you have kind of a degree of flexibility of choosing what's coming your way of projects, right?
I'm trying to choose wisely.
Yeah. It's not like the days of, like, when you were with Alex in China, where you're like, oh, I got to take anything. You're not going to. Yeah. So what does that feel like to finally be in this place where you get to be a little more selective than you've ever been able to? What's interesting you now?
It's very funny that you're asking this, because I just got I'm doing a film.
The one that was at Sundance, or
no?
Oh, okay.
I start one in March.
Oh, okay.
That's like, I have this trip to LA. Like, it's not just to go to LA. It's like we're Palm Springs, and some friends of mine are the Lone Bellow, or like it's their the first nights of their tour, and something came in, and so the dates worked out perfectly. I start this thing in March, and I was like, I can have the month, and something came, and then yesterday, something came in to start here on Friday, and I think when I finally was like, no,
I need this month.
If they can start me on this date, I'll do it.
Yeah.
But I've the number of years, and you probably know this.
Yeah.
You book a trip.
Yeah.
And you book a job.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna keep this fucking trip.
Yeah.
Because there's, I don't want to get into it, but there's something meaningful in this trip for me, and I was like, I'm okay, like saying no to the money.
Yeah.
Because I've got something down the road, and it's not going to move the ticker one way or the other.
Totally.
You know? But I think like a lot of yesterday, I spent in the mindset that is always a recurring theme in an actor's life is like, I got to pay my rent.
Yeah.
I got to do this other stuff.
I got to exist.
I don't think it ever goes away.
Yeah.
I was on a flight with Blythe Danner 10 or 11 years ago.
Yeah.
It was funny. I didn't know. I'm terrible at recognizing people.
Yeah.
But I did recognize her, but not from being an actor. I used to wait tables on her.
No way.
And I was coming from a job in New Orleans. She was too. And I was like, do you live in New York? And she said, yes. And I said, you look so familiar to me. She goes, I'm an actress. My name's Blythe Danner. And I was like, oh, yeah. I said, but I think I used to wait tables on you at Michael's. And she was like, oh, my husband and I used to go there all the time. And I was like, yeah, I used to wait tables on y'all. And I still hadn't put together who her husband was or whatever. Anyways, the rest of the story, there's kind of some funny things about it. But the one thing I took away was she was telling me about, she was worried about, like, would she be able to pay for this and this and this? And she had to give up a job, and she didn't know, she was getting older, and she didn't know if she was going to, she didn't know how much work was left for her. And I was like, Blythe, I think you're going to be okay. Yeah. And she's still working. Still working like a champ today. But I was like, I just took away, I was like, I think it's always in our heads.
Yeah.
Like,
even when you make it,
what if this is the last
thing I do?
Thing.
Yeah.
No, not the last thing, but like, what if, you get some momentum and then it's like
dries up.
When's it gonna stop?
Yeah.
Is it I don't know.
The panic and the mania are always going to be there for artists. Yeah.
It always will. And maybe that's what keeps us going.
Yeah. Any chance of you writing something? Do you have anything in the works you could talk about, or?
I've started a couple of things.
Okay.
I don't know if I would really want to talk about
fair.
them.
Yeah.
Because it's not far enough down the line that I'm there with it, but there's something that deals with when a person goes into a really bad, dark place.
Yeah. I know it well. I'm 3 years sober.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get it.
So, yeah.
That's amazing. And then you said you will hopefully direct again one day.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to, and I'd love to work with the same guys that I
Yeah. Sounds like you got an amazing company of friends and actors, and you're doing such great.
It's funny how it just like.
Is it surreal being here now? Out loud saying all this, that it's like, this is my life now.
I know. And it is.
Yeah.
It's been really 20 years since I kind of started to dabble in it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I never knew when
or if it was. Yeah.
and it was funny. I went back. There's this West Texas Counseling and Guidance Center in my hometown, and they do a lot of suicide prevention work and work with veterans. And they had this kind of like gala night, and I went back as the like
speaker.
Well, it's kind of like the guest
of honor.
Yeah. And there's like people in my hometown that
know you.
I knew almost everybody. I didn't know all of them, but I knew almost everybody.
Totally.
I was like, I don't. It was very sweet, and we raised some money for the center, but it was very touching.
Yeah.
Just some people stood up that I know very well that they were like, we're really proud of you.
Yeah.
And I was like, but I'm
still me.
The dude from San Angelo.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I do. I'm surprised I'm sitting here.
Oh man. It's so great to have you.
But I'm glad you reached out.
Yeah,
This was
me too, man. It's such a pleasure. The best is yet to come.
I like talking with people.
Yeah, me too. Final 2 questions for you. You kind of alluded to some things, but what's next for you? You said you have a movie at Sundance. Is that getting picked up for a theatrical?
I don't know. I haven't heard what's happening with it. It's a beautiful, beautiful film. Every performance is amazing. Phil Ettinger is the lead. Cosmo Jarvis, Stacey Martin, Lily Taylor.
Love Stacey. Yeah.
She's a very funny girl. I love her. Ross Partridge, he was like an old New York guy. He lives in L.A. now. He works a lot with Duplass Brothers.
Oh yeah.
Who am I forgetting? Oh, Carrie Bechet's in it. It's a beautiful, beautiful film. It deals with the opioid situation down in Appalachia. So
okay.
And Braden King directed, and it really is a beautiful, beautiful film. And Michael Trotter, I did not say Michael Trotter. Michael Trotter. Do you know Michael Trotter?
I don't know him, but
I met that guy 10 years ago in Venice Beach at a bar, and we kind of loosely stayed in touch. And then this film, like maybe 3 years ago, no, it was probably 2 years ago. When did we shoot the film? 2018. I think, or was it? Yeah, it was 2018. I think I read for the film like a year and a half before.
Wow.
It came out of nowhere, and like somehow the dates magically worked out with like this thing I was doing in Atlanta, and then Black Mirror pushed my dates to make it all work, which was great. But I came back. Michael Trotter bought the rights to the book like 8 years ago.
Wow.
And since we've reconnected, like he's become a very dear friend. Anyways, I was just saying I shouldn't have left his name out.
Oh, amazing! And then,
even though he's a piece of shit, if he's listening,
And for those actors out there that are in that young Marc position, wide-eyed, coming to New York City, or maybe already here and just got done with conservatory, and have no fucking idea how to navigate this business. Any words of advice, wisdom? If you could maybe go back in time, tell yourself, or tell one of these people that are in that pursuit and just have no idea of how to do this thing. I know that's a heavy question.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always a proponent of. I'm a big proponent of like Suzanne Esper in the Esper Studio, and Bill.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. But like giving yourself over to the process, and what Meisner may not work for some people. You go to Strasbourg or whatever.
Yeah.
I think Circle in the Square, like I think those if you really like invest yourself and open yourself up to whatever process it is, I think the building blocks that you get from that are, I wouldn't be here today without them.
Yeah.
And then also making your own stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. This is where we live.
I mean, I was in
probably my favorite piece of yours. You know. I mean,
thanks.
I just like tonally, there's like a atmosphere and mood are so important to me in films, and you were able to create such a real atmosphere and mood, one that I know very well, and that's the world I feel like I exist in. So when I show people that, I'm like, this is what I want. So you know, the great artists steal, so I'm stealing from you.
Yeah, but you know, I was in an acting class with Jay Duplass 20 years ago.
Wow.
When they were first they made This Is John. I don't know if you ever saw that short film about a guy going home and trying to get his message machine right.
Wow.
They went to Sundance and like they got, it might have won the audience award for the short film or whatever. But I remember, you know, I look up to those guys so much because they
paved the road.
Are constantly they did. They paved the road for a lot of people like, and they're very vocal about like, go make your own thing. Yeah. Like, who cares if you have like, when I was making This Is Where We Live, I was like, Jay, do you have any like recommendations for like some lights and whatnot in Austin? And he was like, go to Home Depot, take them back at the end of the shoot. You know,
wow, love it, man. Guerrilla warfare.
Yeah. No, but those guys really, they've done so much for, I think, for young people in the business to just inspire them to go out and do their own thing. So that's my other last piece of advice, and say fuck it.
Yeah, fuck it. Marc Menchaca, it's been such a pleasure having you on, man, and I know so many amazing things are in store for you, and I'm so admired and is that a verb? Inspired, I should say, by your work, and you're really helping the next generation come along, and I'm so excited for everything that's going to come for you, man. Thanks for being an artist, man. You really are through and through, and I'm just so excited for you.
Even though I can't draw, like Ethan Hawke.
Bringing it full circle. Marc Menchaca, man.
Thanks so much. I appreciate
it, brother.
it.
Thanks for being here.
All right. Dude, that was fun, man.
Yeah, good times, right?
I'm glad you reached out.
Yeah, thanks for doing it.